we should be more like Canada, where it's 15% for corporations.
Well, I don't know. I never say America should be more like Canada.
But you know, you're talking about having the corporations pay.
Yeah, I'm saying we have to be more
smaller amount
competitive.
than they actually pay. Well, actually, 2/3 of American corporations pay no income tax.
Right.
Do you think it's fair for me to pay more taxes than General Electric?
Nope. I don't. So this is the whole point I'm trying to make, and we're on the same page. Actually, I don't know if you may not know that, but we actually wouldn't be. I would love it if we could get down to the 15% rate, but we can't for lots of reasons, basically revenue reasons. When you throw your state income tax, this corporate income tax on top of the federal, we're at 39%. Japan's at 40%, and they're in the midst of lowering theirs. By the way, Japan's entering their second lost decade. They have a miserable economy, and their debt is twice the size of their economy. What we have is the international average tax rate on corporations is 25%. So we're about 10 percentage points above that. It's very much hurting us. The big trend of corporate takeovers these days are foreign companies buying U.S. companies. Here's the rub, which is what you're getting at. Is it right and fair that, I don't know, it's like the third or fourth largest company in America, General Electric, made about $14 billion and didn't pay any taxes? Of course not. I mean, drive around town for the next 10 minutes and you'll see a brown UPS truck somewhere. UPS is a really large company as well. UPS paid a 34% effective tax rate, meaning they paid 34% on their income. Their biggest competitor, DHL, their foreign competitor, I would say FedEx is their biggest competitor here. Their competitor, DHL, pays a 24% tax rate. They're at 34%. GE was at 0%. Okay, what's going on there? GE was able to utilize all of these various loopholes, all of these various deductions. It's legal. I actually asked, I'm on the Ways and Means Committee, which does tax laws. I asked the GE tax officer, how long was your tax form? I mean, tell me, what was your tax form like? He said, well, we file it electronically. We don't measure it in pages. I said, well, can you figure that out, how many pages it would have been? He said, yeah, well, I'll get back to you. Guess how long their tax form this year was? 57,000 pages. I mean, have you ever heard of such a thing? No wonder they file it electronically. I mean, so that makes no sense. What it is the product of, it's Republicans and Democrats, both parties, sit in Congress, and they're picking winners and losers. They're putting this provision in the tax code, that provision in the tax code, this provision in the tax code. And what it means is, if we're shooting to get a certain amount of revenues from this part of our economy, which we do, about $300 billion on average is what we try to shoot for from this sector when we budget. For every little niche and carve-out you put in a tax code for a select business or industry, everybody else's tax rates go up. So what we're saying, what we put in our budget, what the Select Committee is looking at right now, what I think President Obama agrees with, this is the one thing I think we got some bipartisan agreement on, is get rid of those loopholes and just lower the tax rates by a corresponding amount. Don't lose revenue, but for every loophole you pull out and deny a company from being able to get this little carve out, you can lower down the revenue, the rate, so we can be more competitive with our competitors overseas. We want to stem the bleeding of jobs going overseas, of foreign companies buying U.S. companies and taking the headquarters overseas. You always lose the loyalty when that happens, and that's happening a lot these days. You want to make it as easy and attractive as possible for companies to stay American companies and to keep their businesses and their activities in America than to do them overseas. And if we keep taxing them at such higher rates than they are taxed in other countries, these big ones, they just end up putting all their operations overseas because they're taxed at those lower rates over there. So let's stop picking winners and losers. Let's get rid of those things. And so under the world that I'm talking about, under the budget I passed, GE would pay a lot more in taxes. GE would not be able to utilize all those loopholes. They would pay a lot more in taxes, but the other companies that didn't get all the loopholes, the UPSs, would pay a lower tax rate as a result. The point I'm trying to get at is the principle that should drive us is no matter who you are or what you are, the person and the company that makes the same amount of money should pay the same level of taxes. And that's not what we have today.